good. It's a triple-double for Bella Earl.
Goes matched up with a speedy guard. Great screen, spin move, layup, he missed it. Williamson fights for the board. His putback is good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Straight Outta Whack podcast. Here again, another Whack Wednesday episode on this Wednesday afternoon. Good times as always. We continue with these podcast episodes with coaches. We're going to have some with some players, at least on the women's side. I have some scheduled with some broadcasters on the men's side. So there's a lot going on here. We are like 3 weeks away from the season tipping off. November 3rd is rolling right around the corner, Daryl. So without much further ado, we're going to bring in one of my favorites. He knows the song. I can't play the song because it's a copyright issue, but we're just going to bring Jarrod Olson in, the CBU women's basketball head coach. We got the same kind of hairdo going on right now. So
Jarrod, get with it, Daryl.
Oh, I love it. And I think we're close to the same age, aren't we? I'm 43. So are you a little bit older than I am?
That's right about that.
Hey, I'm just trying to be as nice as possible.
Yeah, I'm 39 and holding, Kyle.
There you go. I like it. Oh, Jarrod, what's going on? What's been going on this summer? I mean, like you said, we just said there's 3 weeks till you tip off your season. Yeah. But how has the summer been? You guys didn't have a Europe trip this year, a big trip, this year. So what'd you do with your summer?
Well, I mean, I have 3 kids. Their ages 10, 12, and 14. So a lot of that just revolves around them. Let's see. We did quite a few trips, but then we had to kind of scale. We in the spring, we did some stuff. We did like Hawaii. Went to Yosemite. But the summer was the big trip. My wife and I are both from Nebraska. So we just went and saw family. I mean, her parents live on a cattle farm, so we have there's a lot of cows there. We just kind of hang out and do the small town life. Humphrey, Nebraska. It's about it can't be more than 1,000 people there or something like that. So it's pretty small, but different pace of life. It's kind of nice.
I like it. Humphrey, Nebraska. How far is that from like a Lincoln or Omaha?
Yeah, so like most of my family lives in like the Lincoln area, so it's about an hour and a half north of there. So often, like this year, we flew into Lincoln, and then kind of spent a couple of days with my family. My brother also is a college basketball coach. He coaches at Concordia in Nebraska, actually, and so he's got kids about the same age. So we kind of hang out with them for a few days, and we drive up north to see my wife, Amy, her side of the family, and honestly, then we circled back to Lincoln. I went recruiting. And they went home, and then that's kind of how things go.
So, okay, and we're going to talk about it, but you guys play Nebraska this year, right? Yeah. So Chloe's from Nebraska. You're going back home. Like, how cool is that you get to play in front of your families, I guess?
It was not an accident that we scheduled them, Kyle.
I am now realizing that. After
yeah. I think it's just kind of fun. I mean, mostly it was for Chloe. I mean, I've been working at CBU for a long time. We've never played them, but I just thought it'd be kind of cool for Chloe to kind of go there and, get a chance to have some, family that, doesn't get a chance to see her play in person a lot of times. And when we can do things like that, it's always kind of a cool experience. So we're looking forward to that one.
Awesome. Now, okay. So your family, you're from Nebraska and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Memorial Stadium for a football game.
Yeah.
Like, what is that like? We can see it on TV, but like I've never been to a game there. I was telling my wife when we were watching, I think it was Michigan and Nebraska a couple of weeks ago, that like that's 90,000 plus fans, and even when Nebraska is not necessarily good, they're still selling out that stadium. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's the longest sellout streak. I mean, I work at CBU, but I'm gonna pump Nebraska up here for a minute. I really think they've got the best fans in the country, just from the standpoint of they recognize good football. There's like a famous story about, I think it was in the maybe like early 90s. UCLA came in and beat Nebraska, and the fans actually gave them a standing ovation to the UCLA team as they're walking off, because they just appreciated the effort that they gave. And it's not that they're not like, kind of hostile at times to the other team, but it's just a different way of kind of approaching it. That it is kind of about the game and just really like respecting it and what it means, because it really does mean a lot to the community. When there's a game day at Nebraska, it's the third largest city in the state. It's Omaha, Lincoln, and Memorial Stadium. And it's just kind of a big deal. And Saturdays when I was growing up just revolved around that, even though, I was a basketball person, but football was the deal. My son actually is 14, Eamon. No, I got two sons, but the oldest one, Eamon, last year, my dad has season tickets. And so last year we sent him back because he's a big college football fan, Eamon. And we sent him back there to go to a game. And he still talks about it to today. It's the little picture on his phone and everything. But I think that's what's kind of special about college sports. And I think all of us that grew up loving college sports, we're all kind of a little nervous about right now is just kind of the magic of it, and the power that it can have to impact, people and just like large communities of people in such a positive way. And I think we're all just kind of crossing our fingers and hoping we don't lose that, in the next 5 years. Not to that's the soapbox, but I'll get off that now.
I like it. So I got one other question about it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2 or 3 years ago? And I don't know if they do it every year, but the volleyball team played in Memorial Stadium and 90,000 people. It's sold out for that volleyball match. I remember watching on Twitter the walkout. I think it was on ESPN too. The walkout was probably the best part of it. But 90,000 people to see a volleyball match in an open air stadium, that doesn't have that's got to make Nebraska even more special in my mind.
It's crazy. And the volleyball team's like another level. It's kind of like a little bit of UConn basketball-ish maybe, or some version of that, fair. Right? And they're basically like rock stars in Nebraska. And my wife, Amy, she is locked in, when that game is being played, it's on our TV. Nebraska's not a big place. So just being from there, I kind of feel like it's still okay to root for those teams. I hope that's okay. Hope my boss doesn't bother him.
You don't have football, Jarrod, and you guys are in the conference, and we
do have volleyball. So
but it's a different level, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
we're gonna have a great time when we go there. I definitely think that'll be fun. So
it comes at the perfect point in the schedule too, right before the Christmas holiday, right?
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, good times. Jarrod, what? I guess is that his favorite? Is that Eamon's favorite team, or does he have a favorite college football team?
Oh, definitely Nebraska. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But this guy. He's doing. Every week he's doing his own top 25. He sends out a group text to everybody in our family, college pick'ems with 10 teams, 10 games you got to pick and stuff like that. This guy is locked in Saturday at about 8 a.m. for the big noon kickoff, all the pregame stuff, all the way to the BYU playing, some random West Coast team, at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m., West Coast time. This guy is locked in.
That's awesome.
I'm officiating junior golf on Saturday, so I might catch one game out of the UAC slate, and that's about it for my college football for the weekend.
No, it doesn't matter what level, Daryl. This guy's got your back if you need the score.
All right, Jerry. So you mentioned the whole college landscape. The WAC is separating up, after this year. We got California Baptist, Utah Valley going to the Big West, where you're not going to have to really leave the state of California except to go to Utah Valley. Do you like that that's happening, or is it more it's still a mess because the regional rivalries? When you get a UCLA upsetting Penn State on a Saturday, right, and coaches complaining about travel, are you happy that you're not going to really have to leave the state of California in a year?
It's kind of a tricky one. I would say just from a personal standpoint, it's just going to probably make my life a little bit easier because it'll be less time in the travel. We're going to be busing places instead of flying. So it's not, it's not like you're not going somewhere, but I do think it'll be easier from that standpoint. And that can only benefit, the players too. It's just going to be like making their lives a little bit more manageable. When you talk about like the student athlete experience, I think the hope is too, there's going to be some like regional rivalries that kind of like, we can kind of, feed into a little bit,
Right.
We do play a lot of those teams already, but the hope would be that now that the games will mean a little bit more, it'll be a bigger deal. I will say this too, though, I figured you're going to ask something about switching leagues. But just for me, I think that the only team in the WAC currently that was in the WAC when we got in the WAC is Utah Valley. So to me, I think just if you ask me in 5 years if I like it or not, I'll probably have a better answer, because if there's stability, and we're still in the Big West and the Big West still looks like the Big West and all that stuff still seems the same, I'll be like, yeah, that was a great thing. But I feel like we've been on I don't know, maybe, I've been at CBU for 14 years, and I think there was, 5 or 6 of them in Division II, but then the rest has been a chaotic, Division I journey from transitioning and then just having such massive turnover in the conference. No season has ever felt, the same from year to year. So to me, I feel like we've been in a different league almost every year that I've been in the WAC, because we've always had somebody either coming or going. And so I don't know. I guess if we have stability, over a 3 to 5 year stretch, I'll be like, that was a win. If not, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. We're prepared for it.
I didn't even think about that fact, Daryl, that Utah Valley is the only team left when California Baptist came in. Because you don't process it to think that Tarleton and Utah Tech came in after CBU.
Yeah.
So that blows my mind. That's a great point, that it's been basically a different season every year because of somebody coming and going.
Yeah.
Wow. Or somebody's in most of the cases.
Yeah. Yeah. We had Incarnate Word that joined the WAC and then left the WAC before they even played a game.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Lamar was in for 1 year.
Yep. Sam Houston.
Was CSU Bakersfield, did they leave before you guys joined or after?
So when we first joined, it was us, Chicago State, Bakersfield, GCU, Utah Valley,
Seattle, UTRGV.
Seattle was in there. UTRGV was in there. We're missing one. UMKC.
Oh yeah, Kansas City. Yep.
UMKC. Yeah. It's just a completely different thing. So, this is just the routine for us. Is just a new league and new teams. So we'll be ready for it.
Whoa. Daryl, chime in here.
That's wild to think about.
It's not often I can stump the people that are on here to ask the questions.
Yeah, you guys. I don't know if it's a stump. It's just it's like a mind blown type thing to realize.
Yeah,
the turnover from 2018-19 to now,
in not even a decade.
Right,
Jarrod, you look at last year. You guys fought through injuries to get into contention for the race for the 2 seed. Lost in that opening round of the WAC tournament to UT Arlington. I think last year the story was just a year of injuries and a year of just having to fight for whatever you guys got. But you look at 25-26, hopefully the group's fully healthy now, and you've added a couple of nice additions through the portal. Chance Busher is one that really caught my eye. Division II WBCA All-American.
I've said this, and it just sounds like I'm making excuses, but I think last year was just one of those years where if something could go wrong, it went wrong. We had such good success, for such a long time, especially the year prior, that, sometimes that's going to happen, where things just aren't going to go the way you want. And it definitely tests you and makes you tougher and stronger. And I think everybody on that team last year, it was a struggle, but I do think that we're all a little bit stronger for it, and hopefully better prepared for some real adversity that might come to us, in real life at some point, because it was just basketball at the end of the day, and I even to the last week, I kept thinking, oh, maybe we'll just kind of get hot here. I think we were last week of the season, we were at Tarleton and at UT Arlington. And if we had won both those games, I think we would have finished third, and we ended up getting blown out in both of them. Right. And then we turn around and play Arlington. You're like, well, we're playing, twice in the same week. We'll have a good shot. And we just couldn't get it done. But sometimes that happens. That's sports, that's life, and we learn some lessons, and we're ready to move on and hopefully have a more successful experience this year. But if not, we'll be prepared for whatever comes in our way.
I just want to clarify for the listeners. Jarrod's being very humble about the success that CBU has had since joining the WAC. Last year was the first losing season overall record-wise, but you still had a winning season in WAC play. And the 4 years prior to that, you had won 20-plus games, including 28 2 seasons ago, and 26 in 2020-21. So, there's been a lot of success at division. I guess the question for me is, you have this season, now you get the chance to bounce back and rebound from it. Like with Grace Schmidt, with Chloe, with some others. How excited are you for that chance to see how they respond to the difficult year it was? Not necessarily record-wise, but the injury-wise situation.
Yeah. I just love, the coaching side of it. It's just fun every year to kind of walk into the gym and you got a new group and you're trying to figure out how to make it all work. So I think we've done a pretty good job of putting last year behind us, but at the same time, kind of taking some of those lessons and, trying to improve on a lot of those things. I do think that we've got a pretty good team and I'm pretty excited. Every day, practice, I was just thinking to myself before I got on with you guys, practice was really fun today. It was really competitive and, it's just fun to be in that environment. Last year, I think one of the frustrations we had was we just didn't have a lot of opportunities with enough people at practice to really get in there and do the work and get better. And it's no one should feel sorry for us because, like you said, we have been good, and no one's going to feel sorry for people that have had success, and then struggle once, and they shouldn't. But I think that was the thing that was most frustrating to me is I just felt like, where we can have the biggest impact with our players is in practice. And we just didn't get a chance to do that a lot of times with them. We were just kind of duct taping things together and just hoping the best for the game. And knowing that we were a little bit unprepared, but still trying to manage it as best we could. And when you do that, you're going to get results that you probably aren't, wanting all the time because you can't cheat the work. One of our old strength coaches, Michael Robinson, used to always say, the work is undefeated. And I definitely think that's true. And we definitely learned that over and over again last year.
I like that.
Jarrod, a couple of key leaders graduated and then Iatua and Nick Bosch-Duran. Who's stepped into the leadership void there among your returners? Obviously, Chloe Lemon's probably your leading returning scorer. But from a leadership perspective, who has stepped up in this offseason?
Emma Johansson has done a really good job. She's just has a great attitude every day in practice. She kind of, it's just one of those people that just shows up every day and just doesn't let anything bother her. She does the work. She's got a great work ethic and just a good attitude, which kind of makes everybody around her better. So I think she's done a good job of that. And some of the new players, have done a good job too. But we've spent a lot of time just talking about how we're better as a group, so I don't think it's necessarily been just one or two people. I think we just kind of all settled into different roles of trying to make sure that things are moving in the right direction, with a good competitive spirit and just doing the work every day. And then a lot of those kind of leadership things have kind of are at least are starting to work themselves out. And you don't really know Daryl until you get to that first moment, you get to that first moment of adversity, and then you're going to find out who's really kind of running the locker room and who's really, willing to step up and be a leader. Cause it's easy to lead when things are going well, but it's when things that are not going well, that's when you find out who's really in charge.
Speaking of adversity, you guys start off with a little bit of adversity, right off the gate with your crosstown rivals, on November 3rd at the Fowler Event Center.
Yeah.
I guess, is that by design? Is it just that's the way the schedules fell, where you guys wanted to got them on the schedule, or
Yeah. It's probably more how it fell, but I think it's also kind of cool. It's a great way to start the season. It's one of those things that's a big game, but it's not a big game because it's a big game because it's kind of fun because it's all the local stuff that goes into it. But at the end of the day, one of us will win, one of us will lose, and then we'll move on to the next one. And then we're not in the same league this year anyway, so maybe that'll actually mean more the following year, but it's just a good thing for the community to kind of get involved on. and we haven't been able to play them the last couple of years. The previous coach at UCR didn't want to play. And so there was just a little bit of a break there, but it's always a fun game. Just people get excited. I mean, Darryl will probably be there in person.
Oh yeah.
Local game for you. So, just
Yeah.
stuff like that just makes it fun. Sports are supposed to be fun.
It is.
And so the more things we can do like that to just give everybody a better experience, I think the better.
Well, you play 6 Big West opponents, so you're prepping for a Big West play next year. I just look at the schedule. I was counting like 1, 2, 3. You play as many Big West schools as you do WAC schools this year.
That says all you need. I'm going to take the 5th on that one.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, it's that. So I got a question for you, Jarrod. One, regarding the schedule. So on the men's side, it's brutal for mid-majors, especially like in the WAC. Good teams to schedule. Is it as challenging on the women's side for you guys to get teams to play you because you've had so much success? Or is it a different mindset on the women's side?
I mean, that was a real problem for us last year because we were really good, 2 years ago. We made the tournament, and then both RGV and Stephen F bounced from the league, right? So then we were like 4 games short. And just trying to get 4 games coming off an NCAA tournament, like we basically ended up scheduling 4 losses because we just had to. The only teams that would play us were teams that were just better than us, and so it is a challenge. But I think when you're in the mid-major, it really just comes down to like, are you getting 1 team in the tournament, or 2 teams, or 3 teams from your league, right? And the WAC is a 1-bid league. And so whatever happens in the non-conference is really just prepping you for the league. So I think it's okay to play some of those tougher games, but it is nice to get a little bit of a balance. But at the end of the day, it's just a matter of what you're going to do once you get into the league anyway. So we'll just kind of take with whatever comes.
Speaking of, what was your reaction to the triple round robin that came about with GCU and Seattle departing? And how interesting do you think it's going to be when we get to that 3rd game, especially when it could be somebody you're going to face, when we get to February, March, it could be somebody you're facing in 2 weeks in Vegas.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff is becoming more, I would say, like Division II, like when we were in the Pac West, for instance. I think the second to last year we were there, we had a really good team, made the Final Four, but we played Point Loma on senior night for this, and there was the second time we had played them. Then we turned around, we played them in the championship game of the Pac West tournament, and then we played them for the week after that. So we played them 3 weeks in a row in the first round of the West Regional, and so I think we've got some experience doing it. But I do remember we're at the pregame meal before that West Regional game against Point Loma. We're eating breakfast at some place in Anchorage, Alaska, and our whole team's sitting there, and we're just whatever. And in walks Point Loma. And we're the only 2 groups of people in this restaurant. And they just looked at us. And I knew we had that game won when I saw their faces. They're like, 3rd time in 3 weeks, we cannot shake Cal Baptist. And I was like, this one is a wrap. And it was. We got them pretty good. And it's just going to make for some interesting basketball. I don't think it's going to be the best basketball, but it's the situation we're in. I'm thankful for the games. And I mean, shoot, it's what's in front of us. So we're going to be ready for it. We're going to have to go after it and get after it. And we can complain all we want, but it doesn't matter. It's the cards in our hand, and we're going to play them the best we can.
It's interesting you mentioned that whole, going back to the D2 days, because John Judkins at Utah Tech, he mentioned that when I talked to him and asked him about that too. He's like, it feels like where we're playing those back-to-back games or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, and he's, you're like every other coach, so it's in front of you. It's what you have to deal with. You can't say much more about it. You just got to go attack it, and see what happens, right?
If it was ideal, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Every league in the country would be triple round robin.
Teams in their conference.
Yeah. We can't even get the teams in the Power Four to play each other twice.
Yeah. Oh, scheduling is so fun.
Jarrod, looking at obviously the roster, you mentioned some of the newcomers. Bringing in Paula Haw, the 6'5" center, what's that been like to see her and Grace go at it in practice on the daily, and Emma in that group too?
Yeah. Well, we got a lot more height, which is kind of fun. I mean, Paula's got a lot of personality, so she's been kind of fun to have in practice. It's just, a little taller body out there for Grace to shoot over, but our practices have been pretty competitive. We've got a pretty good 2 deep going right now, use a football term. And so, everybody every day has got to bring it. Otherwise you kind of get exposed. And so it's brought a good level of competitiveness. We talk a lot about, the verse in the Bible of iron sharpening iron. And that's kind of been something we've kind of mentioned at least, every couple of days where, we're making ourselves better with the competitiveness, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
Have you changed the practice strategy, I guess you could say, in a sense, so you avoid those injuries like you maybe dealt with last year? You want to be competitive, but like,
yeah,
is there a change in maybe mentality from that experience a little bit?
I mean, I think not really. I mean, I guess we're always trying to be mindful of like load and just not like overtraining. Typically, I think that was the thing that was kind of, perplexing about last year, is because we're just not an overtraining team. You get 20 hours, we are never close to the 20. Like we're definitely like get in there. We're 2 hours at the max most of the time, in practice. A lot of times it's shorter. So I just don't have a lot of good answers for that. We spent a lot of time talking about it and thinking about it, but I think that sometimes that stuff just happens. And
Sure.
I think that's more of what that was last year.
Dale, you got anything else for Jarrod?
Jarrod, for this team to contend for the WAC regular season title again in the final campaign, just talk about some of the things that you're going to need to see, obviously, on the floor wise. Like, how big of a step does Chloe Lemon need to make from sophomore to junior, and so on?
I think the thing that we're really looking at here is, are we going to be committed to playing really good defense? Last year we were pretty shaky, even by our standards. Typically everybody would say we're a little bit better offensive than defensive, but we got to be committed to being a good defensive team, and we got to be committed to defensive rebounding. I think those are the 2 biggest areas where, if we're doing that pretty consistently, then we'll be pretty good. But if we don't do those things, then we're going to struggle. I think we've got enough good players, to put it together. But I think the third piece of it is, are we going to be able to get them all to fit together? How selfless are we going to be? This is very cliche this time of year. Every coach acts like they have all this depth, right? And then you get down to the end of the year and everybody's like looking around at the bench and afraid to put somebody in, right? But, I think a lot of it's just how we're going to get all the pieces to fit together, because I know we've got enough there. And I mean, that's kind of the fun part of my job, but it's also the part that's the hardest sometimes, because there's a lot of stuff you can't control. But I don't know. I think it's going to be fun. So Daryl, to answer your question, rebounding, just commitment to defense. And then if people are throwing temper tantrums or complaining every time they come out, then we're in trouble.
I'm surprised we made it to this point in the podcast episode, Kyle, without asking Jarrod if there's a trip he's going to miss when the WAC goes away come July 1 next year.
Question of the day, because we ask every coach this.
Yeah, so I did my homework because I watched Dan and Julie earlier, just to kind of see what kind of, I knew you guys would be up to something on this. So I decided that I'm going to spin this the other way. So my favorite experience on a WAC road trip is we were playing at Chicago State, and this is like shows you how far we've come. So we're playing at Chicago State on a Wednesday. We don't play Kansas City until Saturday, and so we've got this. And Kyle, you love Chicago, right?
Yep.
So we've got a whole day in Chicago. We're not going to practice or do anything on Thursday because we don't even travel to Kansas City till Friday. And this is the middle of winter. Chicago, known for some, kind of bad weather then. So we kind of do this little, like we go eat somewhere really cool for lunch. And then we're kind of doing the little walking downtown, and they've got this ice skating rink right outside the beam. And so we're like, all right, we're going, we're doing it. And so we get everybody ice skates. We start kind of doing the ice skating, and most coaches be freaking out because this is like kind of an accident waiting to happen. Right. But I'm like, hey, we're just going for it. And as we start going, the snow starts kind of falling. And it is like something from a movie, like the most magical experience you'd ever seen, just ice skating in downtown Chicago with the skyscrapers and the snow falling. So the one I've missed the most has been going to Chicago, honestly, which is a long time ago. But I mean, you probably should do something separate down the road here of like, crazy whack travel stories, because I mean, I could probably sit here for at least an hour and just rip them off for you guys, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens on the way to Abilene at 2 a.m. I'll just tell you that.
That's funny. No, yeah, I love Chicago, and that's a great. You probably couldn't even see the top of the skyscrapers because the clouds were covering them up, right?
Yeah, I just remember every girl on the team was like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And as a coach, like those are some things that like I know we always kind of like take for granted, that we just don't think about enough, that like are meaningful moments and just giving kids great experiences that I'm sure that almost all those players remember that, and that's probably what they remember the most about that season.
Yeah.
Even though we had a really good team.
Was Lake Michigan frozen over too? Because that freezes over sometimes, depending on how cold it gets there.
I don't think completely, but I think there was some ice there.
Yeah. That's awesome. Love that you mentioned Chicago. Oh, good old Chicago State. Oh, man. Yeah,
We're happy that they found a home, though.
Yeah, we are. So
okay, so I got one question for both of you guys.
Okay, let's hear
it. Kyle, I want a report on your slow pitch softball game. I'm talking about just you personally, like what, like how are we feeling about when you step in the box? Is there confidence? Is there not? What can we expect from you as a hitter?
It depends. Let's just put it that way. It depends on if I'm playing in league or if I'm playing a tournament. Because if it's league, I don't like to walk. So like I'll swing at a bad pitch and make contact and try to see if I get hit. Right. So there's a difference there. When it's a tournament, I'm just locked in straight, pulling it through the 3-4 hole because I'm a lefty, and just hitting the laser through there. I hit leadoff in tournaments, even though I'm old and fat and slow. I hit leadoff so that my young guys can come run for me when I get on base, and they have that veteran up there that can hit wherever on the field. So we have a tournament in November that we're going to in Mesquite, Nevada. So we're gonna go have fun, but
okay, left-handed
league or tournament.
Left-handed, we're gonna use the shift on you is what I'm taking from this.
Yeah, usually people think because I'm fat, all I do is pull.
Yeah,
I don't realize that I've played so much softball that all I can do is tap through that 5-6 hole with the shortstop.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. And Daryl, one of my highlights with you is just seeing you the Amazon Prime LuLaRoe documentary. So I'm just kind of curious, is there anything on the horizon that those of us casual viewers should look for on our streaming platforms?
No, nothing like that. That was a one-time project. I still keep up with, the saga of the company and, in fact, they're still barely afloat, but yeah, no, nothing like that. Not yet.
For those of you that haven't seen it, please check them out.
I might have to hit you up with that, Jarrod, to see if you got a link to that, because I haven't seen it, so I need to see it.
If you do Amazon Prime, if you just go in the search and you go LuLaRoe documentary, it's about episode 2 or 3. You'll come on, right?
For a good couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You'll
just put it this way. DoorDash the favorite, Utah County restaurant, and just it's a 4-hour deal in total. So
yeah, it's great. It's
nice. All right, I'll have to check that out. Oh, good times that we have on this podcast. Always a pleasure, Jarrod. Jarrod Olson, CBU women's basketball head coach. Lance was looking for a little bit of I don't want to say a redemption year, but a little bit bounce back from last year. Always appreciate the time, my friend.
All right. Thanks, guys. We will miss you next year, but we'll make this one a great one. So thank you guys very much.
Yeah, we will.
Well, you may still see us in the Big West because, he's in the Big West. My alma mater is going to the Big West with you, so we still are going to be talking.
I love it.
In some way, shape, or form. We'll in some way, shape, or form, we'll still be around.
Absolutely. Everybody, thanks for tuning in this episode. We'll see you on the next episode of Straight Out Whack Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Straight Outta Whack podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcasting platforms. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.